You took my hand, led me along to your totally nude island. You took my hand, led me astray. That day I'm totally nude island.
Once you hear the mesmerizing calls of the rarest of exotic birds, you become totally consumed by passion. Totally consumed by passion. Put on a strategically placed shell, raise a little hell. Frolic in the surf, sand and turf, on totally nude island.
Darling, show me love, tell me lies. You do something to me, make it all through the night. Touch me once, kiss me twice. You do something to me on this island side.
Kissed by eternal sun, kissed by eternal sun. A few miles north of the Tropic of Desire. Kalinu Island. Kalinu Island. Kalinu Island. Kalinu Island.
Let me along to your totally nude island. Let me astray to your totally nude island. Let me along to your totally nude island.
Gentlemen, we are in a system, and that system is our enemy. Take a look around you. What do you see? Me Too accusations, social justice warriors, crazy feminists, and hopelessly emasculated men. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we save those minds, those people are part of the system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these men are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so hopelessly controlled by blue pill lies that they depend on the system and they will fight to protect it. As a man, which do you prefer? To remain willfully ignorant of masculine and feminine truths, or to get out of your comfort zone and to seek the truth that the system does not want you to know? If you're a man who seeks the truth no matter how uncomfortable, then you know what you must do. Join me, and I will teach you exactly what a woman is thinking without even listening to a single word that comes out of her mouth. This is the power of understanding body language. In addition to this, you will be entered into the Masculine Empowerment Network and join hundreds of unplugged men from all walks of life across the globe. Unfortunately, no one can learn the truth about dating and relationships by simply being told from the system. You must live it and experience it for yourself. That is what body language mastery will do for you. Remember, this is your final chance, and all I'm offering you is the truth. Follow me, and let's see how deep the rabbit hole goes. December 26th, boys. December 26th. This is the last time we're going to be doing this. And Charlie will be joining me as well in the webinars, doing his part in regards to cryptocurrency and trading information 100% for free. You have access to him and to me. How do you do it? You better get on down to modernlifedating.com/body language. 15 days we launched. Listen, those 15 days are going to pass before you know it.
and you're not going to want to miss out on this. I always say, start and finish the year strong, okay? Get in, get part of this. You're going to scroll down. You're going to click on this link right here, and then you're going to put your best email address in right here and click that subscribe button. This is going to give you a head-to-toe breakdown of female body language, new section on male body language, how to give off positive male body language, how to, project confidence with your body language wherever you may be, whether it be in the courtroom, maybe it be in the sales room, the boardroom, or more importantly, on a date. You're going to know exactly how to react. And then in addition to that, you can also get access to the 3 weeks of training that starts on January 6th. We're going to go for 3 weeks. We're going to talk about everything: dating, sex, relationships, muscles, money, real estate investment. We have Vince coming and talking about the BDSM stuff, how to do the proper sexual techniques. The whole 9 yards is included, and you get lifetime access to coaching in the men's only Facebook group, which will eventually transfer to an offline forum. Or a forum off of Facebook, because it's in Facebook group right now, but we're going to take it to a more private area to protect the identity of those men who join. Limited enrollment, limited spaces. Get in now. modernlifedating.com/body language. Charlie, you've attended all webinars from quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. How did you what did you like, just as a guy who you don't really do the whole womanizing thing? You're married, you got a beautiful wife. Like, how did you learn a lot there? I think you were pretty interested in the fitness stuff.
Yeah, the fitness stuff is really good. But it's just the variety of subjects that we cover is actually pretty cool. There's a lot more than I expected in terms of just some of the conversations that people have, right? Some of it's about dating, but I think we've had a few guys jump in who are guests, right? They're like, shouldn't we be talking about body language only or dating only? But it's no, we talk about finance, we talk about whatever it is that makes people better, basically.
Yes.
And so it's pretty much an open forum, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's Christmas time, eh?
God, I can't forget to spread the Christmas season's joy here, guys. Merry Christmas to everybody. It's it's that time of the year. And guys, give yourself the best Christmas present that ever. Investing in yourself is literally the one of the best things you can do, because as long as you're alive, you're going to be with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't plan on dying anytime soon and you want to take it to the next level, I know Spencer's in here, and we had a little bit of a chat about what's going on with him and his game, or lack thereof. And he was saying, he's like, I don't get it. I'm so tall. I'm 6'3". I have a sports car. I make bank, and I haven't had sex in a couple of months now. And the only time he has sex is when he's drunk. He can't get laid anytime.
Oh, you mean in terms of having confidence to approach?
Yes, exactly. So, guys, let's just be honest. If you're a man and you're watching us, you want to have sex, and the desire to have it is completely normal, and facilitating that is becoming increasingly difficult. But if you get in with a group of men who know how to do it with consensually, obviously, this is the time and this is the place. And if you procrastinate, you will be left behind, and I definitely will leave you behind, because I'm not accepting late entries, no sad stories, nothing like that. So this is going to be the biggest and largest enrollment. It's the final one of the year, and you're not going to want to miss out. You'll want to go to, again, like I said, modernlifedating.com/body language. Get in December 26th. We're going to talk about our good old pal, Mark Cuban.
I respect the guy wholeheartedly.
I as a businessman, I respect his stuff. I watched a lot of Mark Cuban stuff, and I watched a lot of his. I read his book. I forget the name of his book. It was a really good book. It's how to win in the sport of business. Really good book. And
I also like the story of how he came in, right? I believe the idea that he first got right was basically stream sports online,
Right.
which is like way ahead of its time.
Yes.
The way that I heard that he got it was somebody pitched it to him because he was like a business side of it. The other guy was the technical side, and then he just hired a technical guy to do it.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's the best businesses start in that way as well. So basically, what you need to do sometimes is just kind of go for the throat and try to make money. And his timing was really good as well, just because the web was brand new. People didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And then, he made a lot of money by selling his business to Yahoo, I believe. And so,
Yep. It was the radio business, right?
yeah, that was kind of a spin-off from the idea of having like video stream sports.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had a lot of different things tied to that. But basically, it's very similar to the state that cryptocurrency is in currently, being very, like a nascent technology or very early technology. Not a lot of people know how to use it. A lot of people who are trying to use it, their ideas are going way far past what technology can do right now.
Right.
And then, not that it's going to necessarily have a .com moment exactly, but it will, have its ups and downs, right? But 20 years from now, are we going to be talking about it? Are we going to be using it on a daily basis? The answer is yes.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about how the use case for a digital currency is, it's inevitable. It's already happening, and the best
And
thing.
governments are starting to make it. China's starting to make one. All sorts of stuff because they're getting scared about Bitcoin, Libra, all these types of things trying to come in and take their money.
Well, the thing about Bitcoin is it's so incredibly successful, and nobody is operating it. Like nobody runs it.
Yeah.
There is no central authority. Nothing. It is completely autonomous. It is growing organically on its own, and nobody can seem to stop it.
Yeah, they've been trying.
And if you
They
really
can slow it down, but they can't stop
you
it.
can slow it down for sure, but you can't seem to stop it. And people don't seem to realize this. It's funny. The biggest critics of Bitcoin, they can't even explain what the fuck it does.
Yeah. Well, and usually they're like, well, I can't use it. That's why it's no good. And here's just kind of like a simple story of my story, right? Which is the first time I ever heard about Bitcoin was somewhere between 2012 and 2013. I know in 2013 it hit $1,000, per coin for the first time, and I had heard about it before that. And then, so I believe it was either the end of 2012 or beginning of 2013 when I first heard about it in the news. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And actually, at that time, I was an English teacher. I had some money, but I didn't have a lot of money. And I was like, oh, maybe I should get involved in stocks, or I should figure out, how to start investing in stuff now that I'm, independent and making money and out of college, all that shit, right? And I just saw Bitcoin. I was like, that's a great idea. But then I was like, it's too difficult.
Yeah.
How do I do that? I don't know. It's probably not going to do anything. All that type of thing. The same reaction everybody has at the beginning, right?
Yep.
Then eventually, some point in your life it comes around and it's like you get that aha moment. And whether that happens for people once everybody else is using it, or whether they have some unique event in their life that is where it becomes useful. Everybody's a little bit different, but some people it's getting away from oppression of a government. Some people it's just they want to make more money quicker. There's a lot of different things. So having that first idea of it's too difficult, I don't want to use it, is the same thing that everybody experiences at the very beginning.
Everybody, I mean, that's why they say there's a famous saying, right? And it's so true. They say if you gave everybody in the world $1 million, right? Like you took away everybody's money and you gave everybody $1 million, the rich would reacquire their riches and the poor would go back to poverty.
The only exception to that would be the second, third, fourth, or fifth generation of the rich class. It's usually like the first two generations of people being rich are really good with money.
Right.
Then they fuck it up somewhere down the line because they didn't educate their kid or they spoiled them too much. But
I know
agree with
somebody like that. But yeah, I mean, it's true. And that's the thing. The point I'm trying to make is like, guys, don't limit yourself. Don't stop thinking you're going to be more beneficial to yourself in life by every day saying to yourself, like, I think I can do this, rather than saying I think I can't.
Yeah, or giving yourself reasons why you can't. You can make excuses all day long about why you can't do something,
Right.
but until you try it, you don't know if you really can or not, right? And I respect people who try and then it's difficult and then they go back to what they're used to. Like, at least they tried, right? But the people who just like, well, it's interesting, and then they never take any action on it. I mean, you got to at least take one step in the right direction at some point. See, take a risk.
Oh yeah, and that's why we talk. That's why we do this show. We're actually on episode 40 now.
Yeah.
So high five for that one.
Yeah, as out of 56 weeks in the year, we started a month and a half
52,
late.
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
This is not financial advice.
well, back, before Earth was in its primordial state, the moon was closer, the days were,
right.
I think, shorter or longer, I don't really know. Anyways.
The Earth is flat. Who gives a shit?
But yeah, 52 weeks, so all but 12, and we haven't even finished the year, and we started off a month and a half late, so.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, we're doing really good. I think it's really good. The results speak for themselves. The guys in the audience who participated, who are part of your Telegram chat is very, very evident that like they are having success and ongoing success as well. And we're not promising you fucking Lambos and all that shit, like, and telling you to trade on 25x leverage or 10x leverage. So if you want to join Charlie's his private Telegram group to really get a hands-on education before Charlie's really blows up here, go to cultivatecrypto.com/shop, and then you get to choose from multiple tiers that are available in regards to the Telegram chat. You have 24/7 access to Charlie, and in addition to that, you get consultations based on your package. You get consultations based on whichever
regular you need, basically.
Right. So if you get the platinum package, you get 4 consultations a month. Gold is, what is it, 2?
Yeah.
And then silver's 1, and then bronze is just access to the Telegram chat. And quite honestly, it's such a good resource, because I remember one time when I was out drinking, just raging, and then I saw that Bitcoin had jumped from the President Xi of China information, and I did, instead of me going and like looking through the news and trying to find out what this, and then like, a lot of people go to Reddit and Twitter, and there's so many fucking idiots on Reddit and Twitter, every fucking corner. And I just picked up, I went straight to the Telegram chat. For you guys that are in Body Language Mastery, the webinars, you guys know how fucking smart Luca is. Luca's in the Telegram chat. Tony is in the chat. He's in the group with us, as well as Cody. And so, it's just good to pick up the phone and like, yo, guys, what the fuck is going on? And then like I have a team of experts who are like, oh, it's this, and this, and here's the chart. And I'm like, okay, too much information. Like, give it to me. Just give it to me, simple person level. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're trying to get this handled, you're trying to get this done in your life, it is great for you and your progress to surround yourself with men who are going in the same direction. Okay, that is a big, big thing there. So we're gonna talk about Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
What do you want? Let's do a little price analysis first.
Yeah, I was gonna say we usually do that first, so we can just jump into the price real quick. Let me do one thing really quick before I show the chart, just to adjust it slightly. Just because I put a certain level of detail on the stuff that I put out public, and then a higher level of detail in the Telegram group.
And then while Charlie does this, I just want to talk to you guys about like, there's a lot of crypto scammers out there. To be honest with you, to be very, very fucking honest.
Amazing amount.
There's an amazing, we talk.
It's like the majority basically.
We talked about that. Remember that one bitch who was like, I used to be a stripper.
Oh god.
I used to be a prostitute and a stripper, and now I'm a cryptocurrency analyst.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and people are taking her seriously and buying her course and taking her.
And most of the info that she puts out is like pictures of her, and stuff like that, right? So it's like, ridiculous, fucking ridiculous. I wish it was that easy.
If it was that easy, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be
on a webcam.
I'd be on a fucking yacht, like
okay.
fucking a yacht with like pure uncut cocaine on the deck and like 10, 20, 30 super hot babes, no clothing allowed.
I was thinking if you were a woman and you were trying to do that, then, then you'd be on a webcam.
I try not to
whoring
imagine.
yourself
I try
out.
not to imagine such nightmare scenarios.
MLD in a different universe.
God, if I was a woman, it'd be a turbo whore and just financially extort every guy because it's so easy.
It'd be hilarious.
Because the girls, they don't realize how dumb and easy it is to take money from guys as a woman. Like I see guys just like, I trust, like guys literally like, oh, I trust you because you're a woman. Like what? It's like I trust you because you wear blue hoodies. Like
yeah.
and like yeah, it's like
Why not?
so here's my money and let me know how much you need and I'll be here for more if you need it. So no, but the point I'm trying to make is like all these guys who are here's how you identify a scammer. Okay, one, you have to use common sense and ask yourself deep down in your heart of hearts, if this guy was making so much money trading cryptocurrency, why is he not typing on the fucking computer until his fingers bleed to make money?
When also like, because you get these crypto people, especially in their advertisements, like, here's how to become a millionaire, make $10 million or some shit. Here's the story of how I did it. It's like, really? What? It's like the only way you would have made that money via cryptocurrency, and you definitely would have never made that much money via stocks unless you like were working for a corporation like Goldman Sachs. And you wouldn't have been taking most of that home anyway. You'd been making it for them. But anyways, long story short, if anybody would have been making that with cryptocurrency, it would have been fucking Satoshi Nakamoto himself, and maybe the Winklevoss twins and a few of those guys. Tim Draper. There are a few out there, but those guys, they end up being evangelists for crypto, and they make crypto companies, right? But they don't go out there and say, here's how to make $1 million, right? But most, like, we see it, like, what is this Korean chick that we saw on Instagram?
I'm not even gonna say her name.
Yeah, you don't have to mention the name, but like she's doing like all these events where you get all these blue pill guys just sit in the audience wanting to see, basically her in a short skirt. And then I don't know if they're actually listening to the advice she's giving on crypto or not, but it's just like, wow.
I love everybody in our community, okay? I love every single one of you guys, all right? And guys, I'm pretty sure you guys love us too. That being said, if I had $10 million that I had from trading cryptocurrency, I wouldn't be here doing this show.
Yeah.
And you out there,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be here listening to this show. Okay, let's just be completely honest. We're a bunch of men here.
Yeah, be doing some Elon Musk fucking shit.
I would
Build
be
rockets or whatever,
dude, I don't know what I would do, but it would be crazy. I'd go to Korea first. Go to Korea, then go to Mongolia, and then like just get lost in China and just wander. I would probably wander the earth for like a couple of years or something until like.
You could do that as an English teacher.
Yeah, but then it's a difference when you're an English teacher.
I know.
And then you got $10 million and a fucking incredible sex drive, So it's
it's completely different.
I mean, guys in the chat, what would you do if you had $10 million? Text us, let us know while we review the price right here. I want to see what you guys. I'm gonna come back and read it too. What would you do if you had $10 million? Write it in the chat. Charlie, how about we talk about Bitcoin here?
Here's one thing I want to add on that. The funny thing is about the question, right? Is what would you do with $10 million? Because right, there used to be the song, which was if I had $1 million, blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Now with inflation, fiat's becoming more and more worthless.
Yep.
Basically, now we have to up the value by 10 times, and maybe 50 years down the line, people will be like, oh, I want $100 million.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anyways, crypto rant. So basically, where are we? Basically last week. We were about somewhere around here, right? The third or the 4th of December. So if I zoom in and just look at where the price was at that time, it's basically the same as where we are now.
Right.
Right. So the price over the last 1 week is basically jumped up and then come back right where it is.
Right.
So we're in this kind of consolidation within a consolidation phase. Actually, the Bitcoin price is extremely stable in December, it's gone from the beginning of December here from 7,600 down to 7,100, back up to 76, back down to 72. Like for Bitcoin, that's extremely stable.
Right, of course.
And like there's not much happening basically. So that's one thing which I think most people always point out with Bitcoin is it's not stable, it's too volatile. Yes, it is very volatile, of course, by looking at this chart, but it does have times where it's relatively stable or can be termed as somewhat boring. I mean, look at this here back in, what was it, September to November of last year. That was extremely boring. Went from 6,100 up to 6,800, basically sideways for those 3 months. Until then it dropped massively. So eventually something big does happen, right? And that's the same here. At the beginning of this year, it went kind of sideways under 3,000 to 4,000, and then it popped up, right? So what we've been doing here, so that was the first half of 2019 when we were talking about this. No, not nobody, but not a lot of people were paying attention. People started paying attention here, as usually sentiment goes.
Right, too late.
Too late. You know, I think some of the guys who've been with us a long time started paying attention somewhere around the 4,000 to 5,000 region, but most people started paying attention right here where you start seeing this extremely parabolic advance, right? It just goes straight up almost over the course of basically 2 weeks in June, going from 7,500 up to 14,000, basically doubling in price. That's pretty crazy. But now we're in this, what we call extended consolidation. And I have these two red lines here, which is basically a flag or a channel to the currently to the downside. And we're trying to get a resolution to that, which is this wave 2, right? A wave 1 is the first major portion. All of these other numbers in here are subwaves.
Right.
These letters in here are subwaves. And it's just telling us, okay, when are we going to get this finish of this wave 2? It seemed like we had it here, but the follow through wasn't there. And we came back and we're continuing this pattern. So long story short, this is what we call a bull flag in terms of bull meaning a positive market. The price will go up. These types of downward consolidations are actually positive because once they do break, you know, to the upside, of course, the upside becomes lower and lower as time goes on. You know, if we're looking here in February, a price of basically where we are now would be extremely bullish by that time if this pattern still holds then. Right. The one other thing that this can do is it can show like kind of the tops, right? Like today, if it were to go skyrocket up, it would likely have resistance here around 8,300 would be the strongest resistance. And then down here, you know, around 6,400 would be the strongest support. So you know what parameters you're working with, and then you can do your trades or your buying actions based on that. But anyways, we're still in this consolidation. These green arrows are the beginnings and ends of each roughly 60-day Bitcoin cycles. We're coming up on one here towards the middle to end of December, maybe might bleed into early January. So we have this support zone here between 63 and 6,500 basically that we have the chance to go down to. Of course, between now and then, it could pop up a little bit. And then come back down towards that area over the next couple of weeks. So we have probably a little bit more volatility happening here at the end of December and the beginning of January, and then maybe a continuation of this pattern into early next year. So that's not great news for a lot of people. It's great news for some people, especially, you know, I think a lot of people in the chat really started getting into Bitcoin here around the 10,000 mark. And so they've been cost averaging in throughout this whole downtrend, which is a great opportunity. This just gives you, you know, if you're still cost averaging in, meaning you're buying a little bit at a time as the price goes down, that means you can lower your entry price. And then once we do go up here, coming into this line here is May 2020, the halving date,
right?
Towards the middle to end of May. Once we get towards there, we most likely will start seeing a lot more positive trend here. So it depends, you know, are you half glass full, half glass empty? Are you a person who's going to try to make money on the downtrend or cost average in to get a lower price? Those are basically the best two types of strategies through here.
And a lot of people don't realize that most people are not educated on the stock market or cryptocurrency markets. And what people don't seem to realize is that they think once the market is crashing that you cannot make money, and
Well,
that's completely wrong.
Yeah, there's so many guys in the stock market when the stock market crashed, right? In 2000, right after 2009, a lot of people that had money to spare at the time picked up some of the dust,
Yep.
right? And over the last 10 years have made a good chunk of change.
Yep.
It's the same with crypto, right? It's like the people who were picking up the dust here at 3,000, you know, it goes up by 3 or 4 times in the course of 6 months. Hallelujah. Easy money. Well, easy money theoretically, right? You have to pay attention.
Right.
And people's attention spans are pretty damn short these days and ages.
Right. They could tell you all the fucking characters on Game of Thrones, or they can name all the Kardashians, but you show them a chart like this, they're like, oh my god, you know. So
Well, it is hard. So I give people that. It is a lot of stuff to take in at once, but it's the way that I learned it, right? Is I saw other people who were doing various forms of analysis.
right,
I tried to gather how much I could understand of it. The stuff I didn't understand, I either asked them or I Googled it. And then that's how I kind of started forming my own opinions, right?
right,
And that's the beauty of the internet is you can be self-taught on a lot of different things.
right.
And then you can go and, you know, I was, I don't know, what's that fucking movie called? What's that one with fucking Matt Damon and the one?
Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah, that one, right? He's a fucking
Damn, that was good. All he said was Matt Hunt. Yeah.
Matt Damon, yeah.
That was good.
Goodwill Hunting, exactly.
Yeah.
It was basically right. He's a genius, but
Yeah.
like
He's a janitor.
Yeah, he's a
That's it.
janitor, but he like just picks up books and fucking reads them, and is like that's what the internet is, right? It's
Yes.
a way to free up society, to do your own research and get help from people who have been there, done that, right? So you need to do both. But anyways, it is a tall task, but it's a task worth it, undertaking, I think, and especially with something like this, which is the fastest growing. I guess you can call it a currency or a form of money, whichever you want to call it, in the history of mankind.
Right.
Right. Digital money has never been created until 2009. Right. And now it has been created over 10 years. Governments, corporations, individuals have tried to take it down, and they have failed. They've succeeded slightly in suppressing its price, as we talked about in September. But in the end, Bitcoin wins out. So anyways, where are we going with the price? So yeah, we generally have this downtrend still continuing. So good for buying, and then we have this area to go up here. So
Where are you putting the
lots of
bottom?
trading opportunities?
Where are you putting the bottom in? What are you thinking now?
So I believe right now the lowest area that I'll be looking at is about 5 to 5,500. I'm not putting that in as it will happen. To be honest, my personal opinion, because I have two ways of looking at the charts, right? How can I look at the chart as objective as possible and view the sub patterns that we have within these patterns that I'm showing you, and you just kind of go through your logic of what should happen based on that, but then you also have personal opinions on top of that, right, on what you think the price may or may not do. So my personal opinion is that this area here of 6.3 to 6.5, this support resistance zone, will stay as strong support. You can see here, it got touched perfectly, basically. And I put this thing in months ago, and it got touched perfectly on this support zone once already. I believe we will go test that again. I believe it will hold.
Luca was talking about some stuff in the chat,
yeah.
saying that there's a couple $1 million of buy orders at like
7,000.
at 7,000.
Yeah, there's a ton. Like, so if I were to just draw like a line at 7,000, right? Like, right, let's say here, right? Get a lot of people. You can call it kind of like a buy wall, if you will.
Right. These are automatically, so people who have trading accounts on trading websites, what they have is they have a pre-order saying, they put in the computer saying, okay, once Bitcoin hits 7,000, then buy it. And then they have millions of dollars of worth of orders on that one exchange, he said.
Yeah, and that goes true for across different exchanges, right? And what you can see here, and you got a lot of people with sell orders between 76 and 8,300, right? So which is why we get this kind of stable price action here in December between 78 and 7,100, right? Because the bulls are defending this $7,000 line. The bears or the also, people who want to hedge their bets, right? They will short. And so a lot of the people, even if they're positive for the price of Bitcoin, they still will short it at the key resistance levels. So actually, when the price is very stable and in a consolidation period, sometimes trading can be easier because it goes between support and resistance pretty accurately. Whereas when it starts going up like this, it just breaks right through those, right? Broke through 4,000, broke through 6,000, went through 7,000 for a bit, but when it gets real bullish, I mean, sometimes you just can't stop it. But when it's on a downtrend, it's a lot slower.
The slower bleed, yeah.
Slower bleed, a little bit easier to predict. There are some surprises, of course, along the way. We got a down surprise here, an up surprise here, and all sorts of stuff. But anyways, we have that area of 7,000, which will be a tough area to crack. Also here, the 7,800 will be a tough area to crack, but it doesn't mean it can't be cracked.
Right.
Right. And I won't go into the details of the sub stuff here because it will take time, but also I do that privately in the Telegram group. But basically, the strongest support resistance zones based on the past price action is this area here, which I view as, kind of a very strong wall, if you will, to support the price. So,
Do you think we'll ever see 3,000 Bitcoin again?
I mean, I'm never gonna say it's impossible, but I don't think so. Technically,
What in the next 3 years?
probably not. If you go and you look at a wave 1, technically a wave 2 can go down to the beginning of wave 1, which would be like 3,100, and still be valid, right? Of course, if it price went below there, then this pattern is no longer valid. But yeah, it's very unlikely to happen, especially with the halving coming up. One of the episodes that I'm going to do upcoming is talking about what miners are doing right now, because you have to watch what people are doing, not listen exactly to everything that's being said out there, because analysis of data, which is what technical analysis is a great way to get a forecast, kind of like the weather,
Right.
of what can happen and what will likely happen. But it doesn't always have to happen exactly as planned. And usually there are surprises along the way. But the miners, the guys who are the highest incentivized to keep this network up and going of the decentralized Bitcoin network, watching what they're doing is very key, because they make a strong effect on the price, but also they have been in the game longer, and they tend to have a little bit more insider information. So watching what those guys are doing is important as well. And there are a lot of miners right now putting a lot of mining. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, putting a lot of money into mining more Bitcoin and becoming a lot more highly competitive. Right now, one of the things that you'll see is China. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. China owns roughly like 60 to 70, some people even say up to 75% of the miners for Bitcoin. But right now in North America, both in Canada and the States, you got a lot of wealthy companies trying to compete with China. And so it's like coming on an industrial scale, coming from way behind in the pack, trying to race up and overtake the top, right? Which is extremely difficult, but people are starting to throw money into that. And so there are a lot of people still playing this game, and there's a lot of money to be had.
Have you seen that what's going on in Georgia?
Georgia's a state?
Yeah.
What are you talking about specifically?
So they found out that there's a bunch of miners in Georgia.
Bitcoin miners?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they consume 10% of all the electricity in the United States. I don't know if that's real, but I saw it I don't know where I saw it exactly. I think I saw it on Reddit. But it was just so unbelievable to see, what's going on with the world and the advancement of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, some guys want to turn their nose up at crypto or whatever, and mark my words, for the guys like Tony and Cody who are in the chat, Elijah, all the guys, Luca who's watching, or if he's not watching.
It's basically past midnight for him, so he watches on the replay usually.
Oh, okay, yes, he's in Australia, yeah. So,
Yeah.
All these folks who are paying attention now, they know what's up. But keep an eye, you guys, because you guys who are, right now technically it's like it's bad times for
Bitcoin's
Bitcoin,
dead. Yeah,
right?
that's
Whatever.
fucking
But if
shit.
you bought when we bought at the beginning of the year when we saw it, there's no bad times at all right now.
Yeah.
That being said, watch what happens when this does take off, when the next coming bull run. We're getting closer and closer to this bull run as time progresses.
Well, and sorry, I'll let you finish that, and then I'll
Just-
mention one thing.
Just watch what happens. Your friends are going to start asking you. Your mom's going to start asking you. People are going to start asking for advice. Everybody's going to be filthy, stinking normies, and they're going to try to get rich quick off of Bitcoin. And
And that's not going to happen until the big price gets up in here, right, or above that $14,000, $15,000, $16,000 area. Then everybody would be like, "Oh, what's happening?" Right? Whereas if you're paying attention down here,
headache.
I mean, it's just much easier, right? So, it's one of those things that takes time.
Right.
And so, yeah. Anyways, the best time to get in is when people are saying Bitcoin's dead. And the thing I was going to say about human psychology in general is, they buy the top, they sell the bottom, they lose
Right.
money. People are generally impatient. Only think about the last 1 to 2 months. So, in the end of the day, what are you going to do? I think it's something worth researching. That's why we talk about it here for the last 40 weeks.
Yep. Yeah. So let's go back to the chat. See, let's see what people are gonna do with $10 million. I am correct says Bitcoin drops to 3,800 to 4,500 this month. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Can we write this down or something? I am correct. We're gonna love to make fun of you in January when this doesn't happen. Okay.
I'll remember it. I don't need to write it down.
I am correct says BT. I am correct. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can be in touch with you.
Maybe we could make a whole episode if he wants to get on the phone with
Come
us.
on up. We will gladly have a chat, pal. He says Bitcoin will drop to 3,800 to 4,500 this month. Buy the
Maybe
dip.
he knows something we don't.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe he's sleeping with Kelly over there in Georgia.
All Kelly waffles. Simon Benson says, with $10 million, what would he buy? Cocaine and hookers. Ellie Rand
Not bad.
says, buy a beautiful hat. Scott says, I'll probably die in 3 weeks. Cody, with a great answer, says, find a way to make 10 million more. Double Barrel Magazine says, buy more Bitcoin. The Bare Naked Ladies, Charlie.
Oh, the song, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do with $1 million? Yeah.
Ellie Rand
That was
says,
a cover, though.
jizz on the floor.
Well, you could do that now.
Spencer says, have a harem of women that travel everywhere with me with an ejecto seat on the plane for any bitch that misbehaves. Okay.
I like that. That's
Privateer
that's good.
Solutions says, buy 10 Bitcoin and build a compound in the corner of a national forest. I like it. Please invite me. Buck and Wright says, I just want the government to stop taxing me 28% of my yearly income. Yeah, me fucking too. Fuck the government. Stream's gonna get cut. I'm with Jesse. I'd build an island fortress and live off the grid. Now you're talking. Let's see. Love the lower prices. Chainlink is breaking bullish if anyone cares. Too much resistance on the way up. Let's see. John, the gain on the audio is super low. Thank you. Easy to spoof a buy wall on exchanges. Never trust order books. Never.
Yeah.
Francisco Braga, what's up? Brent W. Is that Brenton Wall? I'm back
Yeah, I
and
think so.
here to buy your bags. Welcome back, Brent. I hope you haven't lose too much money betting on the Cowboys.
Patriots.
Patriots too. Buy when there's blood in the streets. Josh says, if I had 10 million, I would buy a Lamborghini Aventador, put 1 million in my checking account, 1 million in my savings, and use the rest for real estate. Interesting.
Solid.
10 million, I'd be buying properties all over the world, says Extra Grack. See, that's what I'm talking about. I love these guys. Not a single fucking idiot response, you know? I'm wondering where's Hologram? He would be in yeah.
He's sleeping in or something.
Where is Hologram? He probably doesn't watch the Tokyo Crypto Show. He probably just watches.
He's watched like the last 1 month or the last 2 months with us.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, you know who he is, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, please, because we need all the likes I can get. Because
Yeah, there should be at least a 1-to-1 ratio, I think, of likes to views. Come on.
yeah, we got the typical the 2 dislikes, both coming from Anthony Johnson and George Bruno as they pound each other in their butts. Oh God, let's talk about Mark Cuban, what he's been talking about. Charlie, take the reins here. I'm gonna go re-up my Diet Coke here.
Sure. All right. So let's get started with what Mark Cuban said recently. Basically, we're going to show there's a Forbes article that basically is titled "There is no chance that Bitcoin will ever be a reliable form of money," according to Mark Cuban. But MLD has his ad blockers up, and so fuck Forbes. We'll just show this other article. But basically, Mark Cuban thinks Bitcoin, in terms of money, won't be doing anything. So what does he say about it? Basically, he says it's too difficult to use, too easy to hack, way too easy to lose. Yeah, don't be stupid. Too hard to understand, too hard to assess value, blah, 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 blah. This last one, especially, too hard to assess value. I think the chart that I just showed on all of the exchanges around the world, which keep the current current Bitcoin price, can easily assess the value of Bitcoin. If you're talking about the true value of Bitcoin, then you can go and look at how much it actually costs to mine a Bitcoin, at its cost of production, and then you can assess its value that way. Either way, that's not too hard. So he's throwing out all these things that basically, when people first come into crypto, this is what everybody sees and this is what everybody thinks. And it's what I felt when I first started getting into crypto as well. But once you start to actually understand it and you go down this rabbit hole, you start to see the lack of logic in these areas, or there's areas, okay, it's too easy to hack, right? You don't do your best practices. You don't follow the right way to do things. Of course, it's possible.
How are you going to hack Bitcoin?
So basically, if you had a physical like cold storage USB/wallet, like for example, like a Trezor or a Ledger, so two ways people could hack it is one, if, for example, if you bought it off of Amazon and somebody had opened the package before, put in some malware, right? And then closed the package, made it look like new. You bought it, you got it, you put it in. That would be the start of it. But then they would actually have to come within probably like somewhere between like 50 to 200 meters, a couple, like half a football field to like 2 football fields or so, in towards your computer. Or sometimes they'd actually have to physically be able to access your computer to actually hack it. So people, first of all, especially Mark Cuban, comes and because he works from technology. But he's not a technical person himself. Like I said, he ripped the idea off a technical guy in order to get his first business. He just knows the business side of it. So people, when they see hackers on TV, they think of all these things. But in reality, a lot of the ways to hack a cold storage wallet in particular, you actually have to have physical access to it. Which is hard.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, of course. That's what I said. Once you understand this stuff, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why, like, for me, I heard it in the kitchen. I was like, easy to hack. I'm like, you need quantum computing to hack the fucking blockchain if you're gonna hack that. But
there was a time. There was one time back in, I forgot what year. It was like 2010 or somewhere early in Bitcoin's history, when somebody actually attacked it, and they found a glitch, and they were able to like print out like crazy amount of Bitcoins.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, but basically what happened is, the blockchain has to be a ledger that people choose over time. So they just hard forked it and said, okay, that one doesn't count. We're only counting the chain that goes in this direction. So basically similar to what Bitcoin Cash did. Bitcoin Cash could have become, as Roger envisioned it, the Bitcoin if everybody agreed that that blockchain, that stream of transactions was all the valid best blockchain for Bitcoin, right?
Right.
Then yes, it would have basically become Bitcoin. But people did not agree. In general, the consensus was that that was not correct. That was not the way to go with Bitcoin. So the way that Bitcoin started is still the main blockchain. So there have been some vulnerabilities in the past, but that was basically a one-off. Governments have tried to do that since and have failed. So I mean, its history is not spick and span clean, but it is basically better than most
But
things.
going
out
back
there.
to hacking it, I mean, it's pretty fucking.
Yeah, I'm just
pretty
trying.
get-
I'm just being devil's
No,
advocate.
no, for
and
sure,
trying to- yeah.
for sure. I understand. Way too easy to lose. I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you fucking buy a trading course that tells you to trade on 10x leverage, yeah, you'll lose your Bitcoin that way.
Yeah, and 10x, if you know what you're doing, can be not so bad. Like 100x, 50x, 25x is way too easy to lose.
Most people who buy a course teaching you about Bitcoin, they don't know shit.
Yeah.
And if you're coming right out the gate, green gills, green fuck, just complete noob, and you're like, all right, buddy, so you want to be a millionaire, right? You want a fucking Lambo, right? What are you fucking? You're not beta male, are you? Like, no, I'm alpha. I'm alpha. I want it. You can trade on 10x, motherfucker, dude. You're gonna be cleaned out.
Oh yeah.
Charlie, you could get cleaned out if you
Oh, of course.
if you traded on leverage 10x and all that shit.
Well,
So
I've done that before and have made a couple $1,000 as well. But
But you've
you gotta
also
be
been-
gotta be very careful with it.
and how many years have you been doing this now?
Several.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Well,
imagine.
since 2017, the middle of 2017. Yeah.
Okay. So now rewind to 2017, Charlie.
Oh, of course. Now,
And you're like, hey, Charlie, you want to be a millionaire, right? You want to get a Lambo, don't you? You want to go straight to the moon. You better trade on 10x leverage.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Would've been
fucked.
fucked.
You're
Hell yeah.
fucked.
Especially because a lot of people who come to, investment, basically have never done it before, right? And so a lot of this stuff can be extremely difficult for first-time users. And that's true. It is difficult not to use, but it probably to understand. I would probably agree with that. It's pretty hard to understand, right out the gate. But that's why we did this show, right?
Dude, everybody listening has 1 hour a day. If this is serious to you, you read, you watch our show, you do something to instill knowledge into your mind about cryptocurrency, and over a period of 3 to 4 months, the time is gonna pass anyways, unless you're fucking terminally ill with cancer or something. If you are, God bless you. I'm sorry, but the time's gonna pass anyways. So invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Fucking pick up a book, read. Study, watch our show, get in his fucking Telegram group, get a consultation. Like, the possibilities are endless. We live in a post-scarcity society. The only scarcity is here. You guys have not caught up with what the reality of this world is.
Well, and what's the scientific effect? Most humans don't use X amount % of their brain, right?
Right.
And whether we can tap into that or not is a different story. But like you said, right? There's a lot of people who just don't think for themselves. They just follow what people say to do, right?
Think of how easy life is, like, especially in America. Our biggest problem in America is that we got too much. Everybody's such a fat fuck because they can't stop stuffing their face. We got too much entertainment and all this stuff. Now you have people with anxiety and depression, all this stuff,
Blah, blah, blah.
because they don't harness the power of self-discipline and focus and self-control and apply themselves with the literal infinite amount of information that is in your fucking pocket on your smartphone.
Yeah,
I get passionate about this.
It's the best time in human history to be alive.
It is the best fucking time. You kidding me?
We live better than most kings and queens did.
I
to
can
be honest.
touch my phone and a girl will show up and be ready to have sex with me.
That's pretty nice.
I can touch my phone and a man will bring me food from whichever restaurant I want in the Tokyo area. I mean,
Yeah.
So when I hear another argument saying it's too hard to understand, I would say, sure, if you don't apply yourself, which most people don't apply themselves. So I guess theoretically he could be correct, but
Well, and I guess
it stresses me out.
Here's the thing:
And
is
he put some whiskey in this.
here's the thing about this. He's arguing, right? It's not a reliable form of money. The other argument people say is that
Sure, trust the government.
oh yeah, good God,
Trust the government.
yeah, we've gotten to that whole conversation plenty of times.
Fucking endlessly chasing this ridiculous impeachment now against Trump.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they think they're gonna the election's right around the
Well,
corner.
a lot of these things
They're gonna impeach him before election, and then what? Pence is gonna take over.
you're never going to be successful with it. But the thing is like most of these types of politics, right? they're the distraction. It's the drama. It's the entertainment for the masses to not pay attention with what the actual government is doing.
Which is fucking us with taxes
Yep.
and
Printing as much as they want for themselves.
quantitative easing. What I gotta say, master marketers.
Yeah.
I mean, quantitative easing. Basically, the money that you have, we're just making it worth less and less. So you have to work more and more.
Yeah, become more and more a slave. And so, yeah, is once you understand these things, because here's the thing is, right, it's way too easy to lose. Here's the kind of tagline for Bitcoin is you can be your own bank.
Yep.
Right? Which scares the shit out of most people, to be honest.
Yep.
Because if you look at,
And then they have to be responsible.
Exactly. They actually have to be responsible for their own money. But
Mhm.
here's the great thing is once you are responsible for your own money, or at least a portion of it, you can start to do things different than what society tells you to do, right? You can start having some passive income to start doing what you want to do, free up some time. You can use that to, make more money. You can do a lot of different things from this. And so, it's just, is the juice worth the squeeze? For some people, yes. Some people, they're just happy going along, their normie life. But anyways, here's the funny thing about this whole article, right? And we can also see this in other articles too, is that Dallas Mavericks accept Bitcoin. Which, if you don't know, he's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks NBA team. And they did accept it for a while, and nobody was paying in Bitcoin, so they stopped. But then in August of this year, they restarted selling game tickets and merchandise for Bitcoin. And so he says, before what he said was, Bitcoin, there is even less than you can do with it. At least I can look at my baseball card. I'd rather have bananas than Bitcoin. I can eat bananas. And then he says down here, basically, we made gateways became simpler for Bitcoin. The technology became easier, so it wasn't too hard.
What the fuck is he talking about?
I know, this is hilarious. And if we have a customer that wants to buy with it, I'll take Bitcoin or bananas. So he'll take a whole boatload of bananas if we want to pay him with bananas for a Dallas Mavericks season tickets here.
We're gonna go see Spencer down in Texas. So we're gonna go down with a fucking. We're gonna print this article out, and we're gonna go down with a trash bag full of bananas. Be like, we would like some box seats.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll accept them
God.
readily. But anyways, so this is obviously ridiculous, right? But you just look at these other couple of headlines right before he said that right earlier this year. This is hilarious. I see gold and Bitcoin as being the same thing. Then down here he says they're both collectibles. The value is based off supply and demand. And the good news about Bitcoin is there's a finite supply that will ever be created. Okay, but he says I hate Bitcoin and gold with extreme prejudice is not enough to say. Basically, there was something in here. He says basically, he just doesn't like gold and Bitcoin as an investment. And so I guess is it an investment or is it a way to save your money? If you were to have bought, let's say you had $10,000 or your great-great-grandparents had $10,000 100 years ago. If they would have kept that in cash under their bed, or they would have kept that in gold under their bed, which one would be worth more today?
Right.
It's not necessarily an investment. It can be more like a savings or a way to accrue money over time, right? With Bitcoin, it's a depreciating asset. It will continue to increase in price, especially as fiat and the dollar become more and more worthless, whichever you want to say it. But anyways,
this guy's such a fucking
don't
boomer.
don't keep your money in the fucking bank.
Fucking boomer alert, dude. Like Omega boomer alert.
Pretty
Jesus
much.
Christ.
Here's the last article he said. So he went from crypto skeptic to avid supporter. You can Google this one by Mark Brinkerhoff and read more about this. But basically, now the Dallas Mavericks say, you can buy and sell tickets with crypto and shit like that. It's fucking hilarious. But here's the thing he's not understanding, which is he should understand this to a T with having come from the early internet in terms of his business and making all of his billions of dollars on the fluke that was the internet, right? Is this thing here, which is here is the adoption curve for most technologies or most even businesses.
Anything, dude. This is how Tinder works.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's a business, right?
Yeah, like in the beginning of Tinder, like
It's a technological business.
Yeah, it was the beginning of Tinder, 2014-ish, right around there. I just remember it was like Hinge is like this now because not a lot of people know about Hinge, but
Oh, are we showing the screen? We should show the screen on this one.
Oh, oh yeah, we should push the top left hand.
This one?
Yeah, I thought you pushed it. Oh,
I never push that thing.
Okay, yeah, that's the screen share button.
Okay. Oops. Well, we were talking about the articles we talked about is fine.
Fair
but
play.
This is easier to see.
But yeah, this is just showing how things are picked up by people in society. Like I was saying, I was using Tinder as an example. Like when Tinder first started off, like it was only like really really hot girls who were like wanted to be sluts on the down low, and dudes that were just ahead of the curve and knew the ultra players that are like, oh shit, there are hoes giving out free pussy on this thing, and now regards to Tinder is like pretty much in the 10. I would say 10 is the 10%, the laggards at this point with Tinder. And then going back to like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin itself, we're still in the 10% right now, right?
Oh, we're way So we can even argue that we're under the 1%, still in the innovation phase, which most people will disagree with. But if you look at the amount of people that actually have active wallets, and addresses, it's definitely still under 1% of the entire world's population.
Wow.
So very, very early days, but it's the same with the internet, right? How is it going to take off? Oh, I saw this one video. When I saw it, it blew my fucking mind. It was Good Morning America, Normie fucking Central,
Ugh.
Katie Couric.
Ugh.
Guess what question she asked?
What is Bitcoin?
No, this was back in the mid 90s.
Oh, what is the internet? Or
Close. Well, I think they asked that question, but they also asked,
what's email?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I just saw this video and I was just like,
Oh,
are you fucking
Lord.
serious? And they were like, how do you use email? Just like, this is too hard for most people to use. It'll never take off.
It's like my brother when we first got a DVD player. We were broke as fuck when we were young, and he was young too. He was like I think he was like I was 16, so he was like 10, and we finished. I was Rush Hour 2, right? We got Rush Hour 2, and we watched Rush Hour 2, and the movie was over, and he's like, okay, he's like, how do we rewind it? He's like, how do we rewind the DVD? And I was like, Daniel, we don't. It's a DVD. You're good. He's like, wait a minute, we don't have to rewind, because like for all you guys that don't like grew up without VHS, like you had to like put the tape in, press play. It would fucking. You ever open up the VCR and like fiddle with it?
Well, sometimes the tape would like the tape within the VHS would be a little wonky, right? You
Yeah.
actually have to take the spindles yourself, make sure that the film was actually on there.
When I was little, I used to open the VCR and be like, oh shit, like this is this is gonna be like it would get caught in there. You had to like get it out. So, and like that's like that was like the early stages, and like I always like to use girls as a litmus test because quite honestly. Like like Katie Couric's asking like, how do you use email? Like now, girls know how to. Girls can say an email with their vagina and a PayPal link and be like, better pay me for this shit. They know, but
and they have it auto renew without you knowing.
Yeah. And then the same thing with cryptocurrency. That's why if you ask the average person, they don't know. Like more men can kind of give you an idea, but if you can ask a girl. Or the majority of girls, let alone a very hot girl, right? Because they don't really need to know anything. You ask them, like, hey, like, can you explain to me the concept of Bitcoin, the blockchain? Are you familiar with the ledger, mining? How many megabytes is one block, and what's the blockchain reward and stuff like this?
That's like asking, do you know what HTTPS is, what IP protocols are? It's the same thing for the internet. You don't need to know how it works necessarily if you're simply just using it, right? Which is once we get to that point, then yes, it'll be more,
So the good news
ubiquitous.
So the good news is like right now. So you would argue that we're in the innovator stage, huh?
Yeah. When I first started with Bitcoin, a lot of the people who were on like crypto Twitter and everything said, "Oh, you're late. We're actually early adopters. We're past the innovation phase," but think about it in terms of just percentage. We're definitely of users. We're definitely in the innovation phase, but also a lot of the problems that people are pointing out are still very elementary compared to other financial markets.
Right.
We just got Bitcoin futures at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018 with the CME. Just recently got a second exchange to do so here in 2019. I mean,
It was Waffles' husband, and now Waffles.
well, now she's gone.
Yeah, now she's gone. Now she's a part of the fucking government. Christ
Oh,
in
good God.
Bethlehem.
Save, yeah.
Like, I better read. I gotta read my Bible after this. Jesus
Yeah, well,
Christ.
Gotta read your history on the fall of Rome. You know, maybe that's the beginning of it, or whatever.
This bitch.
But
Okay.
last thing I'm gonna say about this, if you want to take it from a technological stance, if I were to ask you, okay, what operating system do you use for your computer, or what operating systems are you familiar with? What would you generally say?
Right, of course. Like, what is it? Mac OS X Sierra? No,
Well, you don't have to
that's
give
not-
it that detail.
We're not
but
even
just-
in Sierra. We're in
well,
some
no,
crazy
you don't have to give that much detail.
Yeah.
Just like Mac OS, right?
Mac OS. There's Linux. There's Red Hat. There's obviously Windows.
Yep, exactly. And so that's the majority of what people are familiar with, right?
Right.
Most people aren't even familiar with Linux, to be honest. Most people are familiar with Windows and iOS,
Right.
right? And then for mobile, in addition with Android,
Right.
right? And then you just tell people about Linux, and technical people will know about it, or some people may have heard of it, but they don't really know what it is. And so you got these three, which are kind of good examples of, okay, which one will Bitcoin be? Will it be the Linux, which runs a lot of the back end of technology and the internet, but people don't see it, so they don't really recognize it, but it is open source? Or will it be like Apple, or which basically is entirely proprietary, or like in a closed box, you can't change anything, or somewhere in between there, like Microsoft, where it's everybody can use it. People look at it differently, right? So it may not take off to be the world's reserve currency, and it doesn't need to. But as this adoption takes place, becoming a reliable, like Mark Cuban's saying here, is there's no chance it will ever become a reliable form of money. It is totally different.
It already is.
Yeah, exactly. It's already reliable for the people that are using it, and it just becomes more reliable and more stable, to be honest, over time. So now is the time where we're lucky, where the price is actually volatile, because if you know anything about the stock market is no longer that volatile. It may become so a little bit in the future, but likely that's not a good thing. But the times of making a lot of money in the stock market have gone and passed, because computers and automation have taken over, and so we got bots trading and making money better than humans ever will. And the same thing will eventually happen with cryptocurrency. It's already on its way there, but take advantage of the time while it's here, to make some money. But yeah, that's pretty much it on that subject. We want to finish up with some memes.
Let's do some memes, baby. No Coiner, what is Bitcoin and why should I buy it? Hodler, eternal riches and big booty bitches. Son of a bitch, I'm in.
Not a bad one.
Let's see, next one. Bitcoin will never reach 100K. Tape it to the wall.
So I think this is what a lot of people are feeling right now. It's like, no, it'll never happen.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. And here we go. Baby Yoda, my first day trading crypto on the left-hand side here. How I look a year later. God, it's so fucking true, guys. Man, I'm telling you, if it can be very stressful. It can be very, very stressful, especially if you do not know what the fuck you are doing. And it is so important to get the proper training. That's why we have this show. That's why we have Charlie's Services. I mean, that's why we're going to have a whole section in Body Language Mastering, the webinars, talking about what's going down with cryptocurrency, how to get in, how to safely invest so you can actually make a bunch of money. And man, it's just the possibilities are endless, and this is just a brand new market. Like, you can't even go to school yet to get like my bachelor's in cryptocurrency or anything. Not yet.
Well, the colleges which are starting to get into cryptocurrency most, Stanford has been in it a long fucking time, and they may have actually created Monero, is one theory, which is interesting. But also Yale and Harvard actually started collecting Bitcoin over the last 2 to 3 years. They actually have a fund of cryptocurrency that they're holding for their long-term wealth.
And I mean, look, you have to look at all the rich people, guys, and look how Microsoft accepts Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Whole Foods is accepting Bitcoin. Starbucks is accepting Bitcoin. Dallas Mavericks are accepting Bitcoin. The Japanese government, you can pay your fucking debts in Japan with Bitcoin. You can bet with Bitcoin in Las Vegas. If all these big money-making institutions, guys, money-making institutions, you know what they fucking do? They make money.
Pretty simple.
It's fucking. I know it's hard to collect those dots, but they make money, and you got to look at what the money making people are doing. Don't listen to fucking Bob in the cubicle next to you, who's broke, who's fucking loser, who just but has an arrogant air about himself just to tell you, like, oh yeah, that'll never take off, you know. Shut the fuck up, Bob. That's
negative Nancy.
That's why you are who you are, Bob. That's why you're a fucking loser. I'm gonna look at
He's
the
like
likes.
60.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the likes of Bill Gates. I'm gonna look at the likes of Mark Cuban. I'm gonna look at the likes of people who are operating Whole Foods. Okay, fucking whole paycheck. Those places.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. All these people. If they're doing it, hello, you know, rich people don't want other people to be rich. It's a secret club, and they don't want you in. But pay attention. Play your cards right. You can do it. Guys, that's going to do it. We're going to see you next week here on the Tokyo Crypto Show. Until then, go to modernlifedating.com/body language. Get on the waiting list for Body Language Mastery. Subscribe. Thanks, guys, for watching on the replay. And we will catch you